Hi, welcome back to the Garden of Eden. And so today I'm going to be talking about blackberries. Now, blackberries, I have had a phobia against blackberries. This property, which is family property, we rented it out for a little while. And when I moved into the house, in the backyard, the person neglected everything. And this was so overgrown. It was a thicket of blackberries. And they were 10, 12 feet tall. And it was the initial place where I started to put my garden. I spent years digging up these massive root systems. And I mean, I really busted my butt trying to get these things out. It was a huge pain. And they spread all over the property. They're wild blackberries, so they go crazy. And I didn't ever want to look at a blackberry after that at all. And when I was planning for this garden, I did not want to put in blackberries. I was like, no, blackberries, I don't want them spreading everywhere. So I sort of left it alone. I love raspberries, so I started to plant some raspberries, and I have some bare roots in there too. We'll talk about raspberries at another time. But blackberries, I didn't want to touch them. I hated them. I poked myself so many times. I cut myself on the thorns. It was awful. But I was at Lowe's the other day, and I went to the adopt a plant section, which I think I got half my ornamental plants from. So Lowe's clears out plants that they're sort of done with, or that maybe looks a little funny, or they're just like not necessarily in season anymore. So anyway, I'm always scouring for new finds, and I found this, a triple crown thornless blackberry. And at first I'm like, ugh. But my spirit guide said, look it up. Look it up a little bit. So I looked this up, and I realized that, first of all, this does not spread like wild blackberries do. So yes, there is some spreading habits, but it's not invasive like wild ones. And also, if you could see this beautiful plant, there is not one thorn. There are no thorns at all. So I I've been trying to also make the upkeep a little bit easier with everything. I removed all my tall grasses because they were a pain every year, and anything thorny, like, we want to get it out, out, out. So I really love the idea of thornless. This plant, and it looks so happy. It was sort of calling to me. And when I researched this plant, I noticed that it grows these really huge fruits. It's disease resistant. And I read a review saying some person was getting 30 pounds per plant. They said it keeps on flowering and it keeps on producing through summer months. So for $7, I was like, okay, we should do this. And it was looking a little sad, but I put some water in it right away, and it perked right up. Look how healthy this plant is. So I'm actually sort of excited to plant this because the flavor, it's sweet, it's tart, it's a highly recommended variety, and thornless. You gotta love thornless, and it's sort of pretty leaf pattern, and I'm actually excited. I hated the idea of any blackberries, but this sort of sold me. So I'm actually excited here. So I am planting this in my front garden, and we'll do a full front garden tour at some point on another video. But on here, I wanted to see about what kind of light requirements this had. And anytime that you plant anything, you want to make sure that you check out your light requirements. Now, this plant, it likes full sun, but it doesn't like too much. So full sun, we're talking about at least 6 hours. Now, this area is perfect because it probably gets about 8 hours of sun over here, and then it gets some shade, because in summertime, this gets hot, 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 and it will roast it. It'll roast the berries, it'll roast the leaves. It's not what it wants. It wants a bunch of sun, and it wants to sort of cool off for a little while. Just like when we go to the beach, right? We want to go into the sun and get some sun, but after a while, we need to cool off. Same thing with the blackberries. So I'm planting it over here because it's advantageous for that. Now, how did I know that? Now, online, you can actually find sun calculators where they have satellite imagery and it connects to Google Maps, and you can actually look at it and it will tell you how much sun per location. Now, everything that I planned out in this entire garden, I actually used an app like that to be able to get an idea of what kind of light is hitting that specific area. So everything was put in here with a lot of intention. Yeah, so I am just digging a hole over here. I'm gonna put some mulch on top of it. Now, mulch, I'm not necessarily using wood mulch because I have had a termite problem a while ago. So what I use for mulch is I use grass clippings. I don't use any chemicals on my lawn. And so it's clean. And whenever I cut it and mow it, I just add it right into the garden bed. And it's a fantastic way to retain moisture. And not only that, then as it decays, it will also continue to bring nutrients back into the soil. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And then actually, eventually, I am going to bring a drip line. I have a hose over here, I have sprinkler systems, but I have a sprinkler over here, I'm actually going to just hook up a drip line to it. And that is going to slowly feed the blackberries and the raspberries that I have over here. So yeah, so I am really excited about this. I think this is going to grow like crazy. Now, not only that, I wanted to mention something about these. Now this, there are something called primocanes and fluorocanes. Now, primocanes are the canes that come up that year, and fluorocanes are the next year, the ones that come up the next year, and then I mix that up a little bit. Sorry. Okay, so the primocanes are the first year growth, then the fluorocanes are the second year growth. So what happens is most blackberries, they produce fruit on the fluorocanes on the next year's growth. So you let it grow and then it fruits, and then that cane is usually finished and you usually have to cut that. And that encourages it to be more bushy and some more growth. Now this one is sort of unique because it's mostly blooms on fluorocanes, but you will still get a little bit of fruit on the primocanes. So I'm not overly concerned about that. Part of gardening is having patience. So in this way, I'm perfectly okay with just plopping it in the ground, letting it do its thing and grow, and then next year starting to pick blackberries and everything like crazy. So that's about it. So I am glad you guys joined me today and that we're able to, to talk about this awesome variety of blackberry. I'm really excited to put it in. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But don't forget to like and subscribe for more. I'm going to be going through basically all the plants that I have and this entire plant journey. So I'll continue to give updates on how everything's doing. And it's just a lot of fun. So I appreciate you and I appreciate you joining me. And I wish you happy gardening and lots of love. Take care.